The Fly is a movie about a guy who grows coarse hair on his back, gets jacked, and starts flirting with the first woman who makes eye contact. Coincidentally, that's also what happens when you're over 40 and still single. I'm Bobby Reelz from the movie Crashers, and this is How to Beat the Worst 12-Week Body Transformation Program from The Fly with skunk-drunk Uncle Logic. The movie opens at a big corporate science press event where reporter girlfriend is hunting for a story. She ends up interviewing Jeff Goldblum, a scientist who looks like he'd rather swallow his name tag than explain himself in public. Journalist girlfriend asks what he's working on. Jeff Goldblum refuses to say it out loud, and then immediately tries to upgrade the interview into a private tour. Journalist girlfriend's not interested until he drops the oldest line in the history of bad decisions. My project will change the world. And journalist girlfriend hears front page, so she ignores every red flag like it's a terms and conditions pop-up and agrees to go. On the drive, Jeff Goldblum gets motion sickness and casually admits he's been like this since he was a kid, which is not the confidence boost you want from a man claiming he's about to reinvent reality. Journalist girlfriend pulls over, looks around, and realizes they're in a desolate industrial area where the only thriving business is dumping bodies. Goldblum insists this is normal. This is where the future lives. Of course it is. He brings her inside a warehouse that's also a lab and also kind of his home. There's a couch, a piano, and two giant phone booths that look like they were designed by a serial killer with an engineering degree. Journalist girlfriend's trying to stay polite, but her face is basically saying, "Chat, I'm cooked." Jeff Goldblum calls the phone booths telepods and suddenly asks journalist girlfriend for something uniquely hers, like he's a TSA agent at Hogwarts. Journalist girlfriend rolls her eyes and hands over a stocking, which is wild because she's carrying a full purse, and somehow that is the item she chooses to hand to a man who lives in a warehouse. Jeff Goldblum puts it in the pod, logs into his computer with voice recognition, and starts whispering commands like he's flirting with a grok companion in front of his wife. The telepod closes automatically. Journalist girlfriend watches electricity crackle through the window, and the stocking disappears, but she's still unimpressed because from her perspective, he just vaporized her property and called it innovation. Until Jeff Goldblum points at the monitor. It says, "Teleportation successful." Journalist girlfriend checks the other telepod, and there's the stocking. Perfectly intact, sitting there like nothing happened. And you can literally see her brain switch from "this man is weird" to "this man is weird, and I'm about to win a journalism award." She turns on her tape recorder immediately, but the second the recorder beeps, tape full, journalist girlfriend swaps tapes, and Jeff Goldblum stiffens like he just remembered what journalism is. He demands the tape and insists she can't write about any of this. But journalist girlfriend reminds him she's a journalist, and this is literally what she does. She refuses to hand anything over and walks out of his warehouse lab home with the recording, leaving Jeff Goldblum alone with his telepods and his trust issues. All because you should never invite a girl to your crib without an intake protocol. Step 1, consent paperwork. Not one form, a stack. Consent to enter warehouse. Consent to observe science. Consent acknowledging that a couch plus a piano does not immediately imply romance. And you make her initial every page like you're selling her a car you know is gonna break the second she leaves the dealership. Step 2, body cam protocol. What man invites a woman over without strapping on a chest cam and narrating the entire visit like it's a police interaction? Timestamp 2114. Visitor entered voluntarily. Timestamp 2116. No alcohol was offered. Timestamp 2119. Telepod demonstration is strictly professional. Step 3, witnesses. A new woman in your home? Where are the witnesses, buddy? You hired 2 neutral third parties, a notary public and a bored guy from TaskRabbit. And they sit in the corner, eating trail mix and confirming reality. Every once in a while, they stand up and announce, "Stalking! Moved locations voluntarily." Nobody has been emotionally manipulated. And if after all that, you still feel nervous, you perform the final modern man ritual. Pull out a binder labeled Declassified Epstein Flight Logs and cross-reference every name either of you has ever heard out loud, just to make sure nobody's about to turn your world-changing invention into a headline that ends with the words "warehouse, mystery, and sources say." The next day, journalist girlfriend takes her tape to Particle magazine and plays it for her editor, a man who radiates, "I own 3 turtlenecks and a lawsuit." She tells him she found a guy who invented teleportation, and turtleneck guy reacts like she just pitched him Bigfoot. He's convinced Jeff Goldblum pulled a parlor trick, and journalist girlfriend got conned by the most dangerous force on earth. earth, a confident nerd. Right on cue, Jeff Goldblum shows up in person. And turtleneck guy basically shrugs and leaves them alone like, cool, enjoy your warehouse magician. Journalist girlfriend tells Jeff her boss thinks he's a con man. And Jeff Goldblum takes that as great news and asks her to lunch. At the diner, he admits he still can't teleport living things though. So he sells her a better pitch. Don't publish an article now. Shadow me. Follow the process every day and publish it later as a book. Journalist girlfriend's intrigued because this 80s invention already follows the rules of a modern Silicon Valley startup. Nothing works yet, but the pitch is aggressive. Then journalist girlfriend goes home, hears the shower running, and finds turtleneck guy in her bathroom. Like a raccoon that learned locksmithing. Turns out her editor is also her ex, who still has a key and who treats boundaries like a fun debate club topic. He says he dug into Jeff Goldblum's background and now he's suddenly interested because Goldblum ran some elite team and almost got a Nobel Prize at 20. Which is, yeah, cool resume. Still getting rejected by 99% of HR departments on LinkedIn, I bet. Cut to journalist girlfriend documenting Jeff Goldblum's work like she's filming a nature documentary about an anxious genius in captivity. Jeff Goldblum tries his first real living thing teleport, a baboon. The baboon disappears, reappears, and it's turned inside out. Instant nightmare fuel. It makes Jeff Goldblum furious because he didn't invent teleportation to create abstract art out of mammals. But suddenly the vibe quietly shifts from science project to romance subplot. Journalist girlfriend tells him he's cute, leans in, and they hook up. Because nothing says healthy relationship like falling for a man who owns 2 phone booths and 5 identical outfits. Thanks to sexy time, Jeff Goldblum figures out everything. He slices a steak in half, teleports one piece, cooks both, and makes journalist girlfriend do a taste test like she's judging Top Chef, Biohazard edition. Journalist girlfriend says the teleported steak tastes synthetic. So, Jeff realizes his invention isn't moving meat. It's generating meat-adjacent content. Later, Jeff Goldblum tries again with another baboon. This time, the telepod opens, and the baboon runs out perfectly normal, jumping into Jeff's arms. They celebrate with champagne, but Jeff still wants it tested because he's smart enough to know looks fine isn't the most accurate diagnosis. On the celebration note, journalist girlfriend invites Jeff Goldblum on holiday, and Jeff is excited because it means he's got a real girlfriend now. But a second later, journalist girlfriend finds an envelope from her ex-boyfriend editor, and it's him announcing he's about to publish her story ahead of her. Journalist girlfriend slams the brakes on the cute moment and runs away, saying she needs to handle personal stuff. Jeff Goldblum, meanwhile, gets drunk and is mad that journalist girlfriend ran to turtleneck guy when they're supposed to be doing another round of sexy time. He ran, apologizes to the baboon for what happened to its brother, and decides he has to prove himself the only way insecure geniuses ever do, by testing the invention on his own body. He climbs into the telepod, but as the door closes, a fly slips in with him, completely unnoticed. All because you can't ever leave your drunk boyfriend home alone like that. Rule 1, before you leave, you physically disable every object he can use to ruin his life. Take the keys, unplug the telepods, hide the power cord, log him out of everything, especially his Rumble account. Baby-proof the lab like you're raising a gifted toddler in a nuclear facility. And if you're short on time, fine! Give him more booze and lock him in the bathroom. Not ideal, but at this point, it's the lesser evil. And in case he ever figures out you can't lock the bathroom door from the outside, you slap a laminated checklist on the fridge to keep his drunk mind grounded. Yes, I still love you. No, I'm not cheating. I had to handle something. I will be back. Do not enter a telepod. Also, maybe don't announce you're leaving at all, because his brain doesn't process she stepped out. It processes she abandoned me, and then it's ego emergency mode. He needs a grand gesture. And you'd hope it's flowers, a song, maybe a sad nude. But no, this guy's grand gesture is a catastrophic demonstration of competence. So just vanish quietly. If he doesn't see you leave, he'll just assume you're in the kitchen. And if you have to be gone for a while, you set up emergency remote monitoring. Live feed, nanny cam, FaceTime check-ins, whatever it takes. Treat it like remote parenting. Check in every 15 minutes with something like, show me your hands. Where are you standing? Why is the telepod open? Why are you looking at it like that? It's exhausting, but it's only until he passes out. So the telepod finally flashes, the other pod opens, and Jeff Goldblum steps out looking weirdly fine, like a man who just microwaved himself and got upgraded to premium. Later that night, journalist girlfriend comes back, finds him asleep, kisses him awake, and Goldblum admits, yeah, he teleported himself because he was drunk and emotional, which still counts as science. Journalist girlfriend explains that her editor is her ex, and he's still obsessed, so she just needed to remind him they broke up. They cuddle. Journalist girlfriend's hand brushes Jeff Goldblum's back, and there's this little wound with hair starting to grow out of it. Journalist girlfriend doesn't clock it, because who expects their boyfriend to start sprouting extras like a low-budget creature feature? But also a fly is hovering around him, like it knows it owns shares in this relationship. Next morning, journalist Journalist girlfriend wakes up, and Goldblum is in the lab doing a full workout montage. Handstand push-ups on a chair, pull-ups, agility, the whole thing. He's acting like teleportation turned him into the final boss of CrossFit. Journalist girlfriend's impressed, and Goldblum is thrilled. He's the first man in history to finally get abs from whiskey, which we all deserve, actually. Over coffee, Jeff Goldblum explains his theory. The telepod rearranges atoms and purified him like a coffee filter. Journalist girlfriend points out he just dumped a criminal amount of sugar into his cup, but Jeff ignores it because he's a genius, which means he's allergic to feedback. They hook up again, but journalist girlfriend gets tired because the man is treating intimacy like cardio. She notices the weird, coarse hairs on his back and tries to cut them while he's casually eating ice cream like a toddler on steroids. But suddenly, Jeff Goldblum drops his new obsession. Journalist girlfriend has to teleport too, so she can feel what he feels. Journalist girlfriend gets scared, and Jeff snaps at her because nothing says, "Trust my invention," like yelling at the first human being who says, "Maybe not." Journalist girlfriend realizes something went wrong in the pod, while Jeff Goldblum storms out to find a new partner like he's replacing a co-worker on a group project. He goes to a bar, spots a random woman watching arm wrestling, and immediately starts performing. He bets $100 he can beat the guys, and if he wins, he gets to take the random woman home. Romantic, normal, completely not alarming. Jeff Goldblum arm wrestles one of the men, and his palm starts oozing this weird white substance, like his body is already writing resignation letters. Then he snaps the guy's wrist and walks off with the woman like, "Great match, everyone!" He carries her to the lab because she's too drunk to climb stairs, shows her the telepods, sleeps with her, and then tries the same move. "Okay, now you teleport." The woman refuses and jokes around. Jeff Goldblum gets pushy, and right then, journalist girlfriend shows up. So the random woman rolls her eyes and leaves like she just realized this situation was too random all along. Journalist girlfriend tells Goldblum he's changed. He smells different, looks different, and she reveals she had his weird coarse hairs analyzed. And it's insect hairs, but Goldblum brushes it off and decides to prove he's fine, the only way an unstable man ever does, by breaking things and throwing the girlfriend out. All because when your boyfriend smells weird, acts weird, and breaks furniture, you're not dealing with a science problem. You're dealing with the oldest trope on earth, a man who refuses to go to the doctor. And if you need to convince a man to go to the doctor, you don't say medical help. You don't say hospital. And most importantly, you can't ever say doctor. Because the second a man hears the word doctor, his brain doesn't think health, it thinks billing. So you pitch it as a little scan, or they're just gonna take a peek. And you have to make it sound like picking up a package, not confronting mortality. Also, don't frame it as vulnerability. Frame it as dominant. If you're fine, prove it with tests, because men will do anything if it sounds like a dare. You don't say, "I'm worried about you." You say, "You're so confident. Cool. Let science sign the certificate." Now it's not about getting help. Now it's about winning. Finally, call in the credible third party, because he won't hear it from you. You're emotional. So you bring someone he considers a neutral authority. Not a doctor, though. Never a doctor. A mechanic. A second cousin who cured scurvy with push-up. A gym guy who believes in electrolytes. Anybody who can look at the insect hairs and go, "Yeah, man, you better go check that." He'll listen instantly, and because it's coming from a credible source. So Jeff Goldblum checks himself in the mirror and realizes his face is changing. Not in a new haircut way, in a my DNA is renegotiating the lease way. He tries to shave. It hurts, so he smashes the razor. Like the razor personally betrayed him. Then he bites a fingernail, and it just comes off. Which is when the vibe officially leaves Hangover and enters medical documentary. And it gets worse. He squeezes his fingertip, and liquid spurts out like his body's trying to unsubscribe from being solid. Jeff Goldblum finally accepts the obvious. Something is wrong. And he goes to the computer to read the teleportation report like a man checking his bank app after a blackout. The computer shows it recorded 2 elements during the teleportation. Jeff Goldblum replays the footage and discovers the issue. A fly was in the pod with him. So the machine didn't just teleport Goldblum, it merged him with a bug on a molecular genetic level, which is not a collab he's been dreaming of. A month passes. Journalist girlfriend gets a call from Jeff Goldblum. First contact since the breakup. And Jeff hits her with the classic, "I didn't want you to see me like this, but I'm getting worse," which is a terrifying text tone to hear out loud. Journalist girlfriend goes back to the lab and finds Jeff Goldblum in full deterioration mode. He keeps his distance like he's customer service, and she's here to cancel her cable. He explains the fly situation. The computer got confused and spliced them together, which is a very calm way to describe becoming an insect man. Journalist girlfriend cries. Jeff says his cells are in chaos and he'll eventually disintegrate. Basically, the world's most advanced scientist giving himself the bleakest Yelp review. Journalist girlfriend tells him to get cured, but Jeff refuses because he doesn't want to be an experiment, which is ironic coming from the guy who used his own body as the beta test. And then, mid-conversation, he scratches his ear, and it falls off. Just drops down to the ground like his body is shedding accessories. Journalist girlfriend hugs him, while Jeff finally says what he should have said earlier. He needs help. The kind where you stop pretending you're fine and start admitting you're becoming an entirely new species. The next day, journalist girlfriend tells editor guy what happened. And editor guy immediately goes into, what if it's contagious mode? Journalist girlfriend says she's gonna try to help him anyway. So editor guy is like, okay, then at least record him first, so I can decide how involved I want to be in this situation. Journalist girlfriend returns to the lab and finds Jeff Goldblum climbing the walls and ceiling like gravity is now a suggestion. Journalist girlfriend is horrified, but Goldblum is weirdly calm. He says he understands what's happening. The disease wants to turn him into Goldblum fly, which is the most branding-minded way to announce you're turning into a monster. And everybody knows that when you realize you're turning into a monster, the best solution is to move into politics. First, reframe the mutation as leadership potential. You're not decaying, you're evolving. You're not losing teeth, you're rejecting outdated systems. You're not climbing the walls, you're thinking vertically. The moment someone says something's wrong with you, you say, exactly. That's what makes you relatable. Next, take control of the narrative. Hold a press conference in bad lighting. Call the transformation the regime's failed attempt to poison you. Now you're not sick, you're targeted. Now, the insect hairs aren't symptoms, they're evidence. And suddenly, every press question becomes, so who benefits from this? And if anyone brings up the fly, say it's a smear campaign by Legacy Biology. Step 3, pivot the symptoms into policy position. Can't eat normal food anymore, you're anti-processed diets. Skin falling off, you're against superficial appearances. Secreting enzymes, you believe in hands-on problem solving. Because in politics, being a monster is not a disadvantage, it's a brand. And if history has taught us anything, it's this. The only thing scarier than a man turning into a fly is a man who learns how to poll test it. We pick up with editor guy watching the video of Jeff Goldblum spitting digestive enzymes on his food and realizing his ex basically dated a blender. Journalist girlfriend storms in, beelines for the bathroom, and editor guy follows like a man who thinks emotional support means standing in the doorway. Journalist girlfriend drops the update. She's pregnant with Jeff Goldblum's baby, which is the exact moment the movie becomes a group chat called, guys, what do we do? Journalist girlfriend spirals so hard she has a nightmare where she's giving birth. And what comes out is a giant maggot. She wakes up panicking. And everybody who watched this movie in 1986 understandably becomes pro-choice. Meanwhile, Jeff Goldblum decides the solution to being less fly is to fuse with another human and balance out. He tries to command the computer, but his voice has changed so much that voice recognition won't accept him anymore. And that's when Goldblum learns the real villain of the film. Two-factor authentication. The journalist girlfriend shows up at the lab crying, saying she wanted to see him before what she's about to do. Jeff Goldblum has no idea what that means, but he's in full doomed monster mode now. He tells her she shouldn't come back because his mind is turning insect and he might hurt her, which is a crazy breakup speech because it's like, it's not you, it's my exoskeleton. Journalist girlfriend reunites with editor guy and finally says it. She couldn't tell Jeff Goldblum, but she wants the thing out of her body now. Editor guy tries to slow her down with a little, maybe take a beat and think, but journalist girlfriend is not in the mood for wisdom. She's in the mood for an emergency exit. And of course, Jeff Goldblum is watching from the roof. And here's all of it. Because in this movie, privacy is as extinct as Goldblum's teeth. At the hospital, ex-boyfriend editor tries to convince the doctor to perform the operation by basically pitching, the father is unusual. The doctor suggests tests first, like a professional. And journalist girlfriend is like, no tests, just remove the problem. Which is how we know this movie isn't set in Texas. So, journalist girlfriend's waiting in the operating room. Suddenly, bug Jeff Goldblum crashes through the window like a flying regret. He grabs her and carries her away before ex-boyfriend editor can stop him. All because journalist girlfriend is still emotionally and logistically linked to two exes at once. And that's how you end up with some weirdo crashing your medical appointment. So, the best move for her is to learn how to cut ties. Step 1, remove access. Change the locks, change the codes, change the routes, change the habits. If a man can enter your life using a key, he's not an ex. He's a recurring subscription. And yes, this includes the emotional access. Stop updating them. Stop explaining complaining. Stop just letting them know. Every update is a tidbit of hope, and exes treat hope like a call to action. Step 2, block your exes. All of them. Not mute, not restrict, not I'll just ignore it. Block. If your phone has a feature that allows a man to re-enter your life, turn it off. And don't be polite about it either. You're not writing a breakup poem. You're closing a portal. Send one final message if you need closure. But make it clear. Make it unambiguous. Something like, I'm blocking you. Please don't contact me again. P.S. You should probably get checked for herpes. Step 3. Separate your emergencies from your exes. If you're doing something serious, hospital, procedure, life decision, you do not bring your ex as your support system. That's like bringing gasoline to a kitchen fire because it's technically a liquid. You bring a neutral adult. Friend, cousin, neighbor, Uber driver with a calm voice. Anybody whose goal is get you safely through the day, not win you back or prove a point. So bottom line, you need to stop being sweet. Sweet attracts fly. So Bug Jeff Goldblum drags journalist girlfriend up to the lab rooftop like, girl, please keep the fly, baby. Journalist girlfriend's terrified, obviously, but Bug Goldblum is doing that doomed genius thing where he thinks insisting harder counts as a plan. Meanwhile, ex-boyfriend editor breaks into the lab with a shotgun like he's auditioning for ex-boyfriend The Protector Cut. He's sneaking around, checking rooms, acting like this is a normal Tuesday. Just here to stop an insect scientist from doing crimes. He finds the lab empty, so he pokes at the computer and sees it's now programmed for gene splicing, which is a fun discovery because the computer is now basically Tinder, but for chromosomes. And right then, Bug Jeff Goldblum drops down. An ex-boyfriend editor aims the shotgun, but Bug Jeff Goldblum doesn't fight him. He vomits on him. Digestive fluid straight onto ex-boyfriend editor's hand, melting it like Bug Goldblum just weaponized stomach acid and called it self-defense. Ex-boyfriend editor goes from hero to why is my hand a soup? Ex-boyfriend editor tries to grab the shotgun again, and Bug Goldblum hits the foot too, because apparently the only thing Bug Goldblum digests faster than food is red lines. Ex-boyfriend editor collapses from pain, and Bug Goldblum leans in like he's about to finish the job. Journalist girlfriend begs Bug Jeff Goldblum not to kill him, and Bug Goldblum pauses. Not because he's merciful, but because he's busy pitching. He explains his plan. Splice himself, journalist girlfriend, and the unborn baby into one ultimate family, which is romantic. If your love language is having one shared skeleton. Bug Goldblum starts the countdown like it's a launch sequence. Journalist girlfriend panics and fights back, and in the struggle, she accidentally rips off his jaw. Sounds insane, but that's where we are. Bug Goldblum fully transforms into a monstrous insect humanoid, like the physical form of every red flag journalist girlfriend ignored. Bug Goldblum hurls journalist girlfriend into one telepod like she's luggage, while ex-boyfriend editor, half melted but still stubborn, crawls toward the controls. Bug Goldblum climbs into his own pod, ready to hit merge family. But ex-boyfriend editor manages to shoot the cables on journalist girlfriend's pod, disconnecting it from the computer. Bug Goldblum tries to break out, but teleportation triggers mid-escape and yoinks him in a bright flash. The computer reroutes the gene splice into the third prototype pod. It opens, and Bug Goldblum comes out fused with metal, like he got combined with the telepod itself. Journalist girlfriend grabs the shotgun, approaches him crying, and Bug Goldblum gently guides the barrel to his own head, like, I'm tired of this, bruh. Journalist girlfriend can't do it, until she has to. She pulls the trigger, drops to her knees, and that's the end of Bug Jeff Goldblum. While the real solution was under their noses all along. Jeff Goldblum's balance it out with a fusion idea wasn't the dumb part. The dumb part was choosing journalist girlfriend as the pure human stabilizer in a three-way gene smoothie. She was too emotionally attached and ruined everything. This is why I now present to you my top 5 candidates Jeff Goldblum should have fused with to become something better. Number 5, fuse Bug Jeff Goldblum with Keanu Reeves, and you get a monster that still says thank you after dissolving your hand. Number 4, fuse Goldblum fly with Dwayne Johnson, and now you got Boulder Fly. Number 3, fuse him with Ryan Gosling, and it's still body horror, but now it's aesthetic. He's dripping enzymes in soft lighting, staring into the distance like he's in an indie film called Bug. Number 2, fuse him with Dolly Parton, and you get the only version of Goldblum Fly that makes you feel safe. And finally, fuse him with a fly swatter. Instantly solves the problem. He's still Goldblum Fly, but every time he gets an ego surge, his hand just goes whap. It's like built-in accountability. Subscribe!